I still remember the scent of the Aegean breeze the morning they said he was born. A storm had raged over Pella, the capital of Macedonia, and thunder rolled across the hills like the voice of Zeus himself. The people whispered that it was an omen, that a child destined to rule the world had just entered it. His name was Alexander. From the very beginning, there was something different about him. Even as a boy, Alexander walked with a strange confidence, a quiet fire in his eyes that set him apart from other princes. I served in the court of his father, King Philip II, a man of ambition and war, who dreamed of uniting all of Greece under Macedonian rule. And though Philip was feared and respected by kings, there were moments I saw him pause, when his young son would question him about strategy or demand to know why the gods favored one general over another. "Father," Alexander once said, only 12 years old, "you've conquered every land you've desired. What will be left for me?" Philip smiled, but his answer carried the weight of destiny. "My son, you must find worlds beyond Greece and conquer them." The making of a legend. Alexander's education was unlike any other. While most princes learned only to fight, he was taught to think. His teacher was none other than Aristotle, the greatest philosopher of the age. I often saw them together, sitting under the olive trees near Mieza. Aristotle spoke of ethics, logic, and the secrets of the stars, while Alexander absorbed every word like sacred scripture. He learned that knowledge could be a weapon, sharper than any sword, yet he never lost his hunger for glory. When he wasn't studying philosophy, he was taming wild horses. There was one, a massive black stallion named Bucephalus, that no man could control. The animal reared, biting and kicking at everyone who dared come close, but the boy approached differently. He watched the horse carefully, then turned him toward the sun so that his own shadow no longer frightened him. The crowd gasped as Alexander mounted the beast and rode him across the fields, victorious. King Philip, stunned, embraced his son and said, "My boy, find yourself a kingdom big enough for your ambition. Macedonia is too small for you." Those words echoed for years to come. The death of a king, the rise of another. When Philip was assassinated, struck down during a celebration by one of his own guards, chaos swept the court. Every noble family in Macedonia feared for their future. Many believed the empire would crumble, but Alexander, only 20 years old, acted with terrifying speed. I remember that day. He stood before the army in his father's armor, not as a boy, but as a king. "My father built this empire," he said, voice steady. "I will make it eternal." The soldiers roared their loyalty. Greece had found a new leader, one with the mind of Aristotle, the courage of Achilles, and the vision of a god. To secure his throne, Alexander marched through the Greek city-states, crushing rebellions and uniting the land once more. When the proud city of Thebes revolted, he gave them a choice: surrender or burn. They refused. Days later, Thebes lay in ruins. Only the temples and poets were spared. The message was clear: the boy king would not be challenged. The Persian dream. But Greece was not enough. Alexander's eyes turned east, toward the mighty Persian Empire, ruled by King Darius III. Persia was vast, stretching from Egypt to India, an empire of unimaginable wealth and power. Many said it was impossible to conquer. I was there the day Alexander stood before his generals and declared, "If the Persians are the masters of the world, then we shall master the Persians." And so began one of the greatest military campaigns in history. We crossed the Hellespont, the narrow strait between Europe and Asia, under the blazing sun. Before stepping onto Persian soil, Alexander hurled a spear into the ground and cried out, "I claim this land for Macedonia!" It wasn't arrogance, it was destiny. The Battle of Granicus. Our first major battle came at the river Granicus. The Persians had lined their forces along the steep banks, confident that no army could charge uphill against them. But Alexander didn't hesitate. With Bucephalus beneath him, he led the cavalry straight into the river. Arrows rained down. The current was strong. Horses stumbled. Men fell. Yet Alexander pressed forward. I still see it when I close my eyes. His bronze armor flashing in the sunlight, sword raised, cutting through Persian lines as if guided by the gods themselves. By dusk, the Persian army had broken. Alexander had taken his first victory, and the world began to whisper his name. The Gordian Knot. Not long after, we arrived at the city of Gordium, where an ancient prophecy spoke of a great knot tied by a forgotten king. It was said that whoever could untie the Gordian knot would rule all of Asia. Crowds gathered as Alexander approached it. The rope was thick, intertwined, impossible to unravel. Many kings before him had failed, but Alexander, after a moment of silence, drew his sword and sliced it clean in half. The people gasped. "So much for untying," one man muttered. Alexander only smiled. "It doesn't matter how it's done, only that it is done." That was his genius. Where others saw problems, he saw paths. The fall of Darius. Our greatest test came at Gaugamela, the battle that would decide the fate of empires. Darius commanded an army nearly 10 times the size of ours. The desert trembled beneath the march of Persian war elephants and chariots fitted with scything blades. Before the battle, Alexander's officers begged him to attack at night to surprise the Persians, but he refused. "I will not steal my victory in the dark," he said. "I will win it beneath the eyes of the world." At dawn, the two armies clashed. The noise was like thunder, shields breaking, swords clashing, men shouting the names of their gods. I rode behind the king and saw him do the impossible. He spotted a weakness in Darius's formation and charged straight through it. His cavalry split the Persian line, and for a moment I saw the great king himself fleeing his chariot in terror. By sunset, the Persian Empire had fallen. Alexander was now ruler of more than half the known world, the God King. From Babylon to Egypt, people hailed him as a god. In Egypt, the priests of Amun crowned him pharaoh and called him the son of Zeus. He founded new cities, Alexandria, the greatest of them, where Greek ideas and Eastern cultures blended into something entirely new. But with every victory came loneliness. Many of us who had marched with him from Macedonia could see the change. His gaze was distant. He spoke often of destiny, of uniting all mankind under one empire. He began to dress like a Persian king, to demand worship as divine. Some called it madness, others said it was enlightenment. I didn't know which to believe. Still, when he led us east, deeper into the mountains of India, we followed. The final march. In the blazing heat of the Indian plains, we faced the army of King Porus at the Battle of the Hydaspes River. It was the hardest fight we had ever known. Elephants charged through our lines, crushing men beneath their feet. The river was swollen, the rains relentless, but Alexander would not yield. He personally led the charge across the river, and after hours of brutal combat, Porus was captured. When Alexander asked how he wished to be treated, the defeated king replied, "Like a king." And Alexander smiled. So be it, he restored Porus to his throne, proof that he could conquer with mercy as well as might. Yet that victory marked a turning point. The men had marched for years, through deserts, mountains, and storms. They longed to see home again. When Alexander ordered them to march farther east, toward the edge of the world, they refused. I remember the silence that followed. For the first time, the man who had conquered the world stood before an army that would go no further. And so, reluctantly, he turned back. The end of a legend. In June of 323 BC, after a night of feasting, Alexander fell ill. Some said it was poison. Others believed it was exhaustion or the wrath of the gods. For days he lay dying, unable to speak. When his generals asked who should inherit his empire, he whispered only, "To the strongest." And with that, the greatest conqueror the world had ever known was gone. At just 32 years old, people still debate whether he was a hero or a tyrant, a visionary or a madman. But I knew him not as a myth, nor as a god. I knew him as Alexander, the boy who once tamed a wild horse and dreamed of conquering the world. And in that dream, he succeeded. Like, subscribe, and comment below if you want more immersive stories that take you inside history, where legends rise, empires fall, and destiny is written in blood and glory.